Part 13. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 121. Chapter 121, Dangerous Mission. The battle between Konoha and Yuyan has become fierce. But under Konoha's strong strength, Yuyan village is gradually losing its advantage even if there is a strong man like Sanchoyo Hanzo in the battle. In this war situation, Konoha ushered in the graduation of a new batch of ninja school students. The war is coming to an end, and there is no need for Konoha to graduate students early and send them to the battlefield. Therefore, most of the current graduates graduated normally. However, during this period of intense war, they did not have the guidance of Jonin teacher, so they could only carry out some less dangerous tasks in the rear. Those in charge of guiding them are Chunin who have certain experience. For example, the trio of Inakacho who have been promoted to Zongnin, the teams of Hyuga brothers, Namikaze Minato and Akemi Shimaru, etc. Although the Enlightenment team is only Chunin, many of the tasks they perform are actually at the level of Junin, and even many special Jainin may not be able to do as well as them. Third Hokage, that stingy old man, with so many scrolls of mine, I just exchanged 3 S-level missions, and I didn't pay any money. It's really. The agreement reached between Satoru and the third Hokage Hirozuru Sarutobi exchanged the flash scroll for the completion of the S-level task. In the eyes of other Jonin, this is already an incredible thing. But for Wu, he still sighed from time to time. If the old man Hokage was willing to give the money directly, would he have enough money to buy the detonating talisman now, so that he could learn to ride the detonating talisman? No. Probably not enough. Satoru came to this conclusion in frustration. The current Wu team has already made a name for itself on the battlefield. They have Konoha's 3 blood successors and medical ninjas. Now, what they are carrying out is a very dangerous A-level mission. Find the main force of Yuyan village, and guide the Konoha elite troops led by Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade. That's right, after such a long war, Konoha has gained an absolute advantage in many battlefields. The main force of Yuyan village has also been weakened by half. But as long as they are still there, as long as Hanzo has not conceded defeat, the quagmire of war will continue. This is something that none of Konoha's high-level executives, including the third Hokage, wants to see. They are always on guard against another enemy. The third generation of Tukage of Yunyan village, the 2-day scale Onaki. Although Yunyan village and Yunyan village have been fighting so hard that their brains are about to come out, but if there is no accident, the defenders Yunyan village will definitely win. At that time, if the war between Yuyan and Konoha is not over yet, Onaki will free up his hands, and it is impossible not to get involved. At that time, it was even more difficult for Konoha to end the war. Team Wu's mission this time is very critical. How about it? The torrential rain caused Wu's mage's eyes to be disturbed a lot, and Zishu's chakra perception was still the main detection method. It's strange, I didn't perceive a large-scale accumulation of chakra. Nakoki opened his eyes, Kagura Heart Eyes only sensed a few scattered chakras of average level, which should be Ugakuru's investigation team. The other party should also have perception ninjas, they have found us, but with such a few people, we should be able to solve it. Zishu stood up, the heavy rain not only obscured the sight, but also had a certain impact on chakra perception. This is one of the favorable geographical conditions that Yuyan village has relied on to hold Konoha for so long. Okay, the location of those guys, we have solved them in the past. Wu thought for a moment, then gave the order. In the environment of Yuyan village, the firework contact signal cannot be used at all. We must be careful. If something cannot be done, I will use a special contact method and pay attention to dodge. Clear. Shengshu, Mikan, and No-Nayu nodded in agreement. Wu's so-called special contact method is still quite lethal. Shenshu was in front, and Mikan and Nanoy were in the middle. After realizing it, the 4 of them rushed to the target location in a regular march. Shua. 4 people landed at the target position, but there seemed to be no enemies around. Transferred. No, I have been perceiving just now. Shenshu frowned. It was impossible for him not to perceive such an obvious situation. In that case. Wu sighed, and it was like this again. Crash. A thick ice wall rose up to block them. All kinds of shurikens, kunao, senbon, and so on threw ninja tools, but they were blocked by the ice wall. It's a trap. Satoru and the others have experienced too many such situations, but most of the time, the ninjas who set the trap will find out sadly. Tried to fish, but caught a shark. Team Wu is already used to being attacked by a sneak attack. Chakra perception is not omnipotent, especially the rain-hidden ninjas who are good at assassination, all have ways to hide chakra. They used this trick to lure Konoha's ninja team, and then carried out a sneak attack, with great results. But this time. Hey, Wu, there are a little too many people this time. The cold sweat from Shenshu's forehead mixed with the rain, and flowed down his cheeks. 6 Jounin? Judging by their aura, they might not be Yuyen's elites? I'm afraid it is. Mikoto opened the Sharingan, and the scarlet pupils reflected the Ogakure ninjas who appeared from behind the ice wall. Although it's not the main force, it's definitely an elite Jonin. It's just, they seem to be guarding someone. Anyone else? Looking at their weapons, they seem to be poisoned. Nunaiu shrank his neck. The little girl was a little trembling in such a big battle, but she was not afraid. There are so many enemies who can use poison, the medicine I brought, is not enough to make an antidote. They should be hunting our team, but the target of this hunting is us. Enlightenment's complexion was unprecedentedly heavy, and the heavy rain really seriously affected various perceptions. With a 6-member team of this level, any Konoha Jonin team might not be able to escape. But, what they guard is the more difficult guy. Oh, I thought who it was. It turned out that it was the famous Konoha Elite Investigation Team. The expressions of the 4 members of the Enlightenment team were all ugly. As expected, in front of the ice wall, the Yuyan ninjas who appeared silently made way for another path. A gigantic creature rumbled and moved from behind. Round head, big mouth, small eyes, thin forelimbs, thick hind limbs, white bulging belly, long and thick tail, slippery and undulating skin. And, that person standing on top of this big guy. Long beige hair, wearing a special breathing mask, a half-length poncho over a combat vest, and holding a special huge chain sickle. The leader of Yuyan village, a demigod in the ninja world, unparalleled in the world in poisoning skills, and known to be unparalleled in his ability to control water. Sanjiao Hanzo. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziyu. Chapter 122. Chapter 122 Fighting against the demigods. Hanzo appeared in person, and the 6 elite Jounin were his bodyguards. This was beyond doubt. Although Hanzo has strong beliefs, being cautious has always been his consistent style of action. There are guards around this guy 24 hours a day, even for young people who are not strong enough, he will never take it lightly. Therefore, with the level of activity of Gaku's team, Hanzo recognized them at a glance. Tisk, Bingdun, Mudun, Sharingan, excellent medical ninjutsu, really amazing young people. The reason why Hanzo appeared in person for the sake of a few young people, apart from his character, was because he knew very well. The team in front of him was Konoha's newcomer elite team who had become famous recently. If you destroy the team in front of you, not to mention Sharingan and medical ninja, at least Bingdun and Mudun, 2 Konohas who spent a lot of effort to cultivate the genius blood follower ninja, will make the old bastard Sarutobi heartbroken. Therefore, the cautious Hanzo not only showed himself, but also did not intend to let his subordinates back down. He knew very well that although the Konoha ninjas in the team in front of him were very young, it would be difficult for a few Jounin to take them down. Now Yuyan, although the main force has not completely collapsed, there are still more than half of the casualties. Therefore, he, the leader, had to travel around frequently with his guards to attack stronger targets and share the pressure for the main force. The demigod greeted us personally, it's really flattering. There was also cold sweat streaming down Satoru's forehead. Without a doubt, this was the most dangerous situation they had encountered since joining the war. Now Wu understands that this battle should be the origin of the once disgraceful title Konoha Sunin in the original timeline. It's just that, originally, Konoha and Hanzo's party should have started directly, instead of sandwiching them in the middle. Dangerous, very dangerous. Satoru glanced at Naoki, Mikoto, and Nanoyu. The three of them probably still didn't know what kind of enemy they were facing. Although there are many rumors about Hanzo, they probably won't have a deep understanding of him until they actually see him make a move. Knowing my name, didn't you fall to your knees in fright? Hanzo's sharp eyes stared at his ugly face, but he was obviously not afraid of his enlightenment at all, revealing a gleam of interest. He's an amazing young man, it's a pity that we, Yuyan Village, don't have such an outstanding young man. However, as enemies, no matter how talented you are, this is the end of today. It is an honor for you to die under the personal witness of me, Hanzo. Hey! You guys are too arrogant. Naoki couldn't hold back any longer. Although he knew that the person on the opposite side was known as the ninja demigod, but he inherited the blood of the god of the ninja world, he would not be afraid at all. Who would be honored? We are not so easily dismissed. Mudun's boy, a descendant of the Qianshao clan? Hanzo frowned. It was no secret that Naoki's Mudung Kyujuja had returned to the battlefield. When Hanzo received the report from his subordinates for the first time, Hanzo was so shocked that he couldn't speak. Although he is known as the demigod of the ninja world, he is very clear about what the god of the ninja world Senju Hashirama used to suppress the entire ninja world. If he had the strength of Senshou, would he still need to go through such troublesome planning? But soon, Hanzo discovered that although Konoha's Mutunchinin was very strong, it was not too outrageous. And Mudun is not as suffocatingly strong as in the legend. Boy, although Mudun is strong, it depends on who is using it. Hanzo sneered, if Mutun reappeared in the hands of a strong man like the third Hokage, he would turn around and run away without saying a word. But Mirchinin, what's the use of your wooden escape other than building a house? Prove it to me. You. Shengshu was furious, but was pulled back by Wu. Calm down, what we have to do now is to save our lives. He has the qualifications to be arrogant, but we don't have it for the time being. Turning to Mikoto and Nanoyu, who had been preparing for battle from just now, Satoru decisively issued an order. Life-saving comes first. Shenshu will conduct the first wave of defense. After I send a signal, I will participate in the defense. Sister Mikoto, try to use illusions to interfere with and reduce the enemy's attack strength. You don't need to worry about Hanzo, just target his subordinates. Nanoyu, beware of Hanzo's poison, the medicine is limited, and you don't need to remove it, as long as it can be temporarily suppressed or weakened. Yes. The three nodded in agreement. Wu took a deep breath, and his eyes instantly burst into a dazzling crystal blue light. Hey, we have to let this arrogant old man take a good look. The puppy also has a few teeth. That's what it means anyway. What a dog. Nakoki, Mikoto, and Nana covered their faces, but the real pressure that Hanzo brought to everyone was instantly relieved a lot. Wood escape tree boundary wall. The rope tree formed seals with both hands, and slapped the ground fiercely, and several rows of huge trees grew in front of them in an instant. They grow tangled and combine to form a thick wooden wall, keeping the Yukakura ninjas behind. Okay, courage is commendable, then let's begin. A flash of appreciation flashed in Hanzo's eyes, and he waved his sickle. Attack! Don't take it lightly just because they are young. Yes. Leader. Boom. In an instant, the explosions of various ninjutsu covered Nesuke's wooden protection. Puff. A mouthful of blood spewed out, and the rope tree smiled fiercely, forming seals tightly, continuously transporting chakra, and the trees continued to grow, continuously filling the position where the wall was blasted. Hey! If it's just defense, even with so many people, I can hold it for a short time. The huge amount of chakras of rope tree drove the defense of Mudun, and withstood the enemy's tentative attack in one breath. Of course, Mikoto's help is indispensable. Magic, what is wrong here? Although it is only a sea-level illusion, this technique can be cast in a large area and affect many people at the same time. Under the illusion bonus of Sharinan, the illusion cast by Uchiha Mikoto caught many Yukakura ninjas off guard, and the attack on Nakoki hit other places, which relieved him of huge pressure. Well. Mikan let out a low snort. The amount of chakra was only normal for her. This was the first time she cast such a large-scale illusion, and felt weak for a while, as if her chakra had been emptied. But in the next moment, she cheered up, and the two black hook jades in her scarlet eyes spun quickly, preparing to block several powerful spells with a single point. Wheeze. Not surprisingly, the use of poison is commonplace in the battles of Yuyan ninjas. A piece of purple poison rose up on the rope tree's wooden shelter wall, quickly melted into the rainwater, corroded the wall, and also attacked Wu's team behind the wall. Leave this to me. Nunaiu pulled out the psychic scroll, took out various medicinal powders, and quickly mixed the antidote. Although the enemy used the rain to accelerate the spread of the poison, fortunately, there was no need to worry about inhalation poisoning. And Wu's spell was finally ready. Snowstorm. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 123. Chapter 123 Delaying Time. Hanzo stood on top of the salamander, watching Team Satoru's performance with admiration. The powerful group illusion and the stunning wood escape technique made it almost impossible to defuse the first wave of attacks from his subordinates. Amazing. Hanzo's face was mostly covered by the breathing mask, showing a somewhat regretful expression. It's a pity that an outstanding young man has passed away. Even if you resist the first wave of attacks, it will have no effect. You have already been able to do this at such a young age. If you grow up, how strong will Konoha be in the future? For the land of rain, Hanzo was taken aback suddenly, and Hanzo couldn't see Satoru, who was blocked by the rope tree's wooden shield behind him. Because of the particularity of arcane power, he also couldn't feel the huge chakra gathering. But this rain turned into snow. No. This is not snow anymore. Such as sesame, such as bean grains, such as melon seeds, such as peanut kernels. Larger and larger ice crystal particles replaced the original heavy rain, and the temperature in the air dropped sharply. Cha. The sound of freezing came from under the feet, and the salamander, which was considered to be an amphibian that likes warmth, was restless. Hanzo hastily lowered his head, his pupils shrank fiercely. What is that? On the ground that was originally covered with rain, a large area of magnificent crystal blue spells appeared at some point. The abundance of water elements made the blizzard carefully prepared by Satoru unprecedentedly large. The positioning circle envelopes all the ninjas including Hanzo. Changing the sky, ice done. It's that kid. Before Hanzo could speak, the falling ice crystals had turned into shards of ice as thick as a little finger and as sharp as a knife. Seen from a distance, this area is a crystal blue light curtain piercing the sky. For a while, the Yuyan ninjas who were caught off guard also had to defend in a hurry. They fought with the rain as their geographical advantage, but were betrayed by the rain. Good boy. Hanzo laughed angrily, but had to give a sigh of admiration, and then formed a seal with both hands. Water escape, water shockwave. Boom crash. Hanzo is worthy of being a demigod in the ninja world. He clasped his palms together, and instantly summoned a water curtain that spins up like a tornado out of thin air. The huge waterspout rushed straight into the sky, and under the low temperature of the blizzard, it scattered all the dark clouds in the sky. Naturally, the ice crystal fragments from the blizzard were also swallowed by the waterspout. And the waterspout turned sharply down, and the torrent carrying ice crystals smashed the wooden protective wall of Shenshu severely. The ice crystals of the blizzard actually amplified the power of Hanzo's ninjutsu, and the current rope tree can't catch it even with all his strength. Young people, well done, but not enough. In the face of overwhelming strength, fear is inevitable. Give up resistance, and accept death obediently. Seeing that the flood was about to submerge Nezuki and his companions behind him, Hanzo's expression suddenly changed. The turbulent water waves don't move. It was instantly frozen into an ice sculpture, standing awkwardly only a few meters away from the rope tree. This ice crystal is not for nothing. Seeing Satoru approaching, Hanzo was silent for a moment, and with a wave of his hand, the ninjas who had been injured by the blizzard returned to him one after another, ready to go again. Wonderful, but how long do you think you can last? Fear, there is indeed, but after that, it's not despair, but excitement. Satoru had no intention of backing down at all. Facing an opponent like Hanzo, delaying for a while is still possible. The magic circle covering the audience was still shining with crystal blue brilliance, and Hanzo soon discovered that the falling rain seemed to have started to turn into snow and ice crystals again. The cold breath has turned the rainwater on the ground into a mixture of ice and water. The bodies of the Aminogenin began to freeze, and their movement speed and body reflexes were gradually declining. Even the Sanjiao fish, the psychic beast under the seat, seemed lazy and didn't want to move. There is still such a thing. Hanzo didn't know if the situation was normal, having never fought against the ice Duninja before, but he could only accept this reality helplessly. This unprecedented technique will consume a lot of chakra to activate it. How long can you last? Hanzo snorted coldly, but felt pity for talent again. Although he could see that what this team wanted to do was delay time, but he wanted to see why they were so confident. Young people in their teens, no, they are just 4 children. How can they have such strong confidence? Continue to attack. No matter if the ninjutsu is broken or the chakra is exhausted, I will see them fall within 10 minutes. Yes. Leader. The prepared Yokakushi ninjas guarded against the influence of Mikoto's illusion to the greatest extent, and used their respective ninjutsu to carry out long-range attacks. For a time, Fireball, Water Dragon, Thunder Light, Wind Blade, Ground Thorn, B-level and even A-level ninjutsu of various natures are all coming to Satoru's team. Rope Tree. Wood Dune, Birth of the Sea of Trees. Naoki tied his hands together, clasped his 5 fingers together, shouted loudly, and tried his best to perform the strongest wooden escape ninjutsu that he can perform now. Crash. A large area of trees grew crazily from the ground, forming a small forest in an instant. In the next instant, the small forest was covered by hard ice, forming a protective layer of frozen forest around Wu's team. Boom. The ninjutsu attack that can penetrate the protective wall of the wooden escape in an instant is completely useless in front of the double reinforced protection. Even A-level ninjutsu cannot break through the defense of the frozen forest with one blow. The powerful defense formed by the combination of the 2 blood successors, unfortunately, you are Konoha's ninjas. Hanzo watched Satoru's team struggling under the siege of 10 elite jounin with cold eyes, and ordered coldly. Continue to attack. Inside the frozen forest, Shenshu coughed up a mouthful of blood. Even with his chakra, the continuous protection just now had consumed a lot. No matter how reluctantly he used the Birth of the Sea of Trees, which he was not very familiar with, if his body hadn't been tempered, it would not be as simple as spitting blood. The huge chakra output in an instant, the meridian system will not be able to bear it. Heh, when will I be able to use the tree world to give birth? There will be such a day, probably. Wu raised his eyebrows. Even if he had the blood of Senshou and Uzumaki, Naoki wanted to reach the level of the first generation. Difficult, it is too difficult. Unless it directly relies on the body tissue composed of living intercolumnar cells to perform the operation. But that was too dangerous, and the muton awakened by Zishu himself was more reliable. No Neiyu eliminated the toxins around him, and hurriedly stepped forward to heal Naoki's injuries. It's not enough, their attack must be delayed. Mikan gritted her teeth, and cast the illusion with all her strength. In her scarlet eyes, 2 hook jades were spinning rapidly, and gradually. I need stronger pupil power. 2 hook jades suddenly split into 3. The power of Mikoto's illusion suddenly increased, and the offensive of the Umgashi ninjas suddenly stopped. Sanguyu, congratulations, Miss Mikan. The crystal blue light in Wu's eyes dissipated, and Blizzard's powerful ability to change the sky was his unique contact signal. After such a toss, even the torrential rain has been reduced a lot. The mage's eyes can already see that the figures of Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade are rapidly approaching. More than people? We won't lose at this point. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 124. Chapter 124 The Strength of the Demigod. The attack of Yuyan Elite Jonin failed to break through the protection jointly built by Satoru and Nezuki for a short time. Hanzo's face finally changed into a serious look. Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade's team have arrived. Not only that, Hanzo discovered with a gloomy expression that they were followed by an elite force from Konoha. The main force of Yuyan village was basically unable to fight anymore, and Hanzo went to the field with his guards in person, in order to crush Konoha's small troops one by one with the highest efficiency and erode their strength. But now blocked by Konoha's elite troops, Hanzo understands that today is the decisive battle. If you can kill the Konoha elite troops in front of you, there is still room for war. But if you fail, Yuyan village is over. Without the main force and the strongest leader, Yuyan village could not survive for a few days in front of Konoha. It seems that the ice escape ninjutsu just now was a distress signal. I was careless. But I didn't expect that the mere 3 Chunin could survive such an attack for such a long time. After all, I'm still too arrogant. Hidden Leaf Village is indeed a village established by the god of ninjas. Holding the chain sickle in his hand, Hanzo assumed a fighting stance. Guys from Konoha, you guys came here quite well this time, but it's okay. Hanzo has absolute confidence in his own strength, even if everyone in front of him goes together, as long as that dead old woman Joe is not around. No matter how many people come, it's all for nothing. I will solve all of you at once, and the initiative of the war will still be in my hands. Too arrogant. Tsunade immediately replaced Nanoyo to treat Naoki, and Orochimaru exchanged information with Satoru. Jiraiya also heard Hanzo's words, and couldn't help laughing angrily. Even if you are known as the ninja demigod, in the face of so many of us, shouldn't you be somewhat in awe? Oh. Hanzo's gaze shifted from the Konoha ninjas rushing to Jiraiya. He could feel that this white-haired young man was very strong. But, it's not enough. Shaking his head lightly, Hanzo's plain words made Jiraiya furious. Would you feel awe in front of a group of ants? You bastard! Jiraiya, control your emotions, unwarranted anger will only affect your strength. Orochimaru's calm voice sounded, and Jiraiya gritted his teeth and closed his mouth. Orochimaru stepped forward, and Tsunade had already treated Naoki, and the 3 of them lined up to face the ninja demigod who started the war. Let's decide the outcome. Of course, go. Without further ado, the 2 sides fought directly. Hanzo faced Konoha's elite troops and drove the psychic beast Sanchoyo to join the battlefield in person. The 6 elite Jonin guarding Hanzo are doing their best to protect and assist him. Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade led the troops to meet them, while Wu's team retreated to the side first. There are more than 10 Konoha elite troops, all Jonin and Chunin. Naoshu, Mikoto-san, Nanoyu, you are all exhausted, and the next battle will be handed over to teacher Orochimaru and the others. After the 3 of them settled down, Wu carefully instructed. Wait carefully, pay attention to the poisonous breath of that salamander. Hanzo will definitely use insidious tricks when dealing with so many people, protect yourself well, and help others if you have spare power. Wu Jun, then you. Mikoto was panting slightly. The elite Jonin who were much stronger than her frequently performed illusions, basically exhausting her chakra. If it weren't for the support of the pupil power of Sanguya Sharinan, she would not be able to stand up now. Do you want to? That's right, I can still help, although I don't really want to put myself in danger, but if we don't beat that dead old man, we will be in danger. Satoru stood up. Nawaka's injury had been healed by Tsunade, but the massive consumption of chakra made him, who usually didn't care much about chakra, feel weak for a long time. Wu, I can still protect the 3 of us, don't worry. Student Wu, although I'm not as powerful as the teacher, I will try my best to prepare an antidote to help everyone. Nanoyu's small face was full of determination. Although she had prepared an antidote before, it was only the toxin used by Hanzo's guards. Now that Hanzo is going to end in person, to be honest, she is not sure at all. But Sensei Tsunade has to lead the team to fight Hanzo, this kind of thing can only depend on her. Okay, then be careful, I'm going. The ninjas on both sides soon entered the stage of hand-to-hand combat. Although Hanzo's guards were only 5, they were all elite Jounin. And it's also the type that is good at cooperating and attacking together. But among the troops brought by Orochimaru and the others, it can be said that there are basically no such powerful defensive capabilities as Nawaki and Satoru. And the existence of the psychic beast Sanchoyu made it almost impossible for Konoha's ordinary ninjas to resist. Hanzo's salamanders are not only highly poisonous, but can also burrow into the ground. Now Hanzo just uses body skills, ninjutsu and ordinary attacks of the salamanders, and the Konoha ninjas have been defeated. As the leader of Hidden Rain Village, Hanzo is indeed unparalleled in his control over water. The powerful water escape ninjutsu and the elusive Sancho fish made it impossible for the 3 of Orochimaru to stop him for a while. Well, attack. Hanzo called out the name of the salamander and gave it the command to attack. In a short period of time, Orochimaru and 3 people held Hanzo back, and his guards were besieged by Konoha ninjas, unable to fight anymore. Hanzo, who used to be scruples about hurting his own people, now has no scruples. The current Hanzo, after experiencing the mistake of not doing his best to wipe out the Weavyu team, decided not to hold back. Poison mist spray. Oops. Boom. Sanjiao Yojingfu opened its mouth wide, and spewed out a large cloud of thick purple poisonous gas. The Konoha troops, and even the 3 of Orochimaru, were all hit by this super wide-range attack. Damn it! My body is paralyzed. Jiraiya was trembling all over, while Orochimaru's situation was much better, maybe because he likes to poison ninja tools and has a certain resistance. And Tsunade's situation is even better, not only that, she can quickly prepare an antidote. Drink it. After quickly feeding Jiraiya and Orochimaru to drink the antidote, Tsunade clenched his fist tightly. Damn it! There are only 3 of us left, everyone else has been poisoned. I don't have enough antidote for so many people. Oh, it's amazing, another Joe-style medical ninja, really. Hanzo's figure emerged from the dissipating poisonous mist, and he glanced at the fallen ninjas around him, including his guards. The battlefield changed from a large number of people to a chaotic battle, and it became much cleaner in an instant. I didn't expect that you could still stand. And me. Hanzo suddenly raised his head, and even Orochimaru and the others turned their heads to look. After dispelling the ice barrier and immune to the poisonous attack of Sanjiao Yojingfu, Wu put on the ice shield for himself. 4 against 1, the perfect team configuration. P.S. Well, next Saturday, the big editor took the initiative to find me and said it was terrible. Wednesday said that there is no hope for follow-up reading. I can only say thank you for your support. It should be that the follow-up reading supported by Wednesday and Thursday has passed that hurdle. But I think this is probably the end. Sanjiang doesn't want to, the editor said it's still possible. The possibility is that other authors were hospitalized before going to Sanjiang. He told me that there is always hope in life. Today, I have to code 10,000 words even if I don't masturbate. Please continue to support. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 125. Chapter 125 Reorganizing the Four-Person Squad. Orochimaru laughed, and glanced at Jiraiya and Tsunade, who were pleasantly surprised. What happened to Rope Tree and the others? This is not what Tsunade cares about. She suddenly woke up when she saw Gaku. Does this mean? It's okay, they are safe, but the chakra is overconsumed. Let me help you next. Wu spread his hands. I'm now, almost qualified, right? Certainly. Orochimaru coughed twice, then glanced at Jiraiya, who looked weird. My disciple, he is not far behind some idiot now. Hey. Orochimaru, you guys pay attention to the occasion. Zille gritted his teeth and was about to jump. Enlighten him is very strong, but the opponent is the ninja demigod. So I'm just assisting, the 3 teachers, it's up to you. Wu rolled his eyes, and there was nothing wrong with the names of the 3 teachers. After all 3 of them are leading students now. It's amazing, boy Wu, back then. Tsunade thumped his head in annoyance, and Tsunade laughed. Back then, I should have bound you to be my disciple. Orochimaru, you got such a big benefit, you didn't even buy me wine. Didn't you win my money? Orochimaru shook his head with a wry smile, then his face became serious. Okay, Your Excellency, the demigod is still watching, ready to fight? Oh, you guys finally remembered, I'm still watching? Hanzo had blue veins twitching on his forehead. What's going on with these 4 Konoha ninjas, especially that Bingdun boy? Maybe the 3 young Jonin didn't realize that the tense atmosphere that enveloped them disappeared in an instant after that kid appeared. They themselves didn't realize, did the appearance of this blood-successful ninja bring them any kind of confidence? Teacher. This Ice Tunin is the disciple of that black-haired young Jonin, huh? When master and apprentice go into battle, you really don't take me as a half-god seriously. Hanzo's expression darkened. It seemed that the Chunin was not only strong in Bingdu, but also had a unique temperament. Then, let me see how long the 4 of you can survive under my command. Hanzo flicked his hands, and 8 kunao flew out in an instant. Hanging behind the kunao was a special detonating talisman carefully prepared by Hanzo. Boom! Hanzo narrowed his eyes, and even the 3 of Orochimaru, who were about to jump to escape, staggered at their feet. The 8 crystal-clear ice guns hit the 8 kunao accurately, so that the kunao failed to reach the intended target, and the detonating talisman exploded. Hanzo smiled coldly, quickly formed seals, and under the feet of the 3 Orochimaru who hadn't adjusted their footsteps, multiple detonating symbols appeared impressively. The detonating talisman moved quickly, and was about to wrap around the feet of the 3 of them. Hanzo obviously cooperated with the confinement power of the Earth-done ninjutsu, making the 3 of them unable to move. At this moment, the 3 of them were in danger. But because Satoru was consciously standing behind the 3 of them, Hanzo had no way to lock him in, and he immediately noticed something was wrong. Shockwave. Wu Leng let out a cry, his hands flashed red, and a fiery ring of fire spread out under his feet. hitting the three Orochimaru in front hard. It was deliberately adjusted to reduce the range, but strengthened the shockwave of the knock-up ability, and sent the three of Orochimaru flying. Although it was closer to Hanzo, it undoubtedly saved them from disaster. Boom! A huge number of detonators exploded. Hanzo frowned. "That Chunin kid, is Huo done so good? Well done." Orochimaru was in the air, the series of changes just now made him as calm as him, and broke out in a cold sweat. If the trick just now is successful, the three of them will peel off their skins if they don't die. Hidden shadows with many snake hands. Orochimaru swung his arms fiercely, and a large group of poisonous snakes appeared instantly, binding Hanzo tightly. Jiraiya. Tsunade. Clear. Jiraiya embraced him with both hands, and his long white hair instantly stretched longer and became extremely hard at the same time. Ninja, needle hell. Swish, swish, swish. Countless silver needles turned from long hair slammed towards Hanzo, who seemed immobile, and Tsunade also jumped up. If the petite fist hits hard, Hanzo might lose his life. But Hanzo just smiled coldly, and the Sancho fish that was sitting down disappeared in an instant. The technique of instant body. Hanzo and Sancho appeared behind Orochimaru and Jiraiya in an instant, but his expression changed immediately, and with a flick of the sickle, a long arrow of ice was crushed. "The detonating talisman just now was so close to you, didn't it hurt you?" Looking at Satoru, who was intact, Hanzo suddenly remembered the trick he used to dodge his own poisonous mist. "I see. However, for that level of surgery, you used it twice in a short period of time, isn't it a burden?" Wu frowned. Although Hanzo seemed to have misunderstood that the ice barrier would consume a lot of chakra, in fact, the super low temperature effect did affect him. Hanzo guessed the principle wrong, but the result is not much different. In a short time, it is really not suitable to use the ice barrier again. Well, attack. Satoru had a headache. Although Hanzo was a tall guy, he was just a background board behind him. Therefore, I really haven't paid attention to some details about him. What this guy has shown so far, besides the amazing water escape ninjutsu, as well as the detonating talisman, instant body technique, and psychic beast, there should be a lot of big moves hidden. Wind escape vacuum jade. Fire escape great flame bullet. Wuhan is planning to erect an ice wall to block the poisonous breath of the Sancho fish, and the combined ninjutsu of Orochimaru and Jiraiya arrives. Compound ninjutsu vacuum flame bomb. Boom. Although it was a rainy environment, Jiraiya's Da Yan Dan, assisted by Orochimaru Fudun, still played an attack power beyond the limit. The large cloud of poisonous mist from Sanjiao Yujing was directly blasted out of a passage by the flame bomb, and smashed towards Hanzo. Drink. And hidden behind the big flame bomb, it is a huge boulder. Holding the boulder in his hand, Tsunade not only withstood the high temperature of the flame bomb, but also gave Hanzo a head-on blow. Awesome. Wu stared dumbfounded at the coordinated attack of the three, but then slapped him on the forehead. Oops, big trouble. Hanzo was not at all moved by the massive attacks of the three of them. He calmly cast the instant body technique, and appeared in another position in an instant. And the poisonous mist and the evaporated rain that were swept by the great flame bullet directly mixed into a highly poisonous mist, and Tsunade, who followed the great flame bullet, was struck by it. Well. Tsunade suddenly inhaled a large amount of poisonous mist, her feet went limp, and she fell to the ground. In this state, she no longer has the ability to prepare an antidote. Damn it! Tsunade desperately mobilized chakra, and with her medical ninjutsu attainments, it was only a matter of time before she returned to normal, but during this time, she would not only be unable to participate in the battle, but would also become a burden. Leave me alone. Attack Hanzo. I can handle it myself. I'm quite confident. A look of satisfaction flashed across Hanzo's eyes. Medical ninjas like Tsunade and Joe who could detoxify were the type he hated the most. Now, you can let go of your hands and feet. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 126. Chapter 126. Who doesn't have a pet yet? Tsunade. Gillette also looked at Tsunade, who was paralyzed and fell to the ground in disbelief, wishing to slap himself. It's all my fault. Even though he is still young, he is far inferior to Hanzo in terms of combat wisdom. Careful. Orochimaru let out a shout, threw out a handful of Konoha, and blocked Hanzo's Konoha with the detonating talisman tied on it. Boom. The violent explosion made Jiraiya react. He gritted his teeth fiercely, and immediately backed away. The poisonous mist mixed with rain was already approaching this side. This instant body technique can actually transfer with the psychic beast. Jiraiya and Orochimaru continued to attack Hanzo while protecting Tsunade, but Satoru noticed Hanzo's strangeness from behind. The instant technique used by general ninjas is to concentrate chakra on the soles of the feet to achieve the effect of increasing the speed of movement in a short period of time. High-speed body skills can also achieve this effect, such as Beiman Dungia. These two relatively simple instant body techniques can make the ninja move quickly by himself, but if he is carrying other things, it will not work. The most advanced teleportation technique is undoubtedly the time-space ninjutsu like the Flying Raijin Jutsu, and Kamui and Celestial Hand Power also belong to this category. However, few people in the entire ninja world can do this. And the more common high-level teleportation technique is the teleportation technique of the evasion technique. For example, Sand Instant Body, Fog Instant Body, Water Instant Body, Leaf Instant Body and so on. When Hanzo uses the instant body technique, his body and the psychic beast Sancho Fish will turn into water, which should be the high-level water instant body. In this climate of constant heavy rain, Hanzo's use of this teleportation technique can be called elusive. No matter in terms of transfer speed or range, it is first class and strong. It's no wonder that Orochimaru and the three of them will also be suppressed by Hanzo. Although they haven't reached their peak yet, if they have the help of psychic beasts, they can't be suppressed so badly. Orochimaru and Jiraiya also attracted Hanzo's firepower. Although the two were beaten in a mess, they managed to hold on for the time being. The psychic beasts exist for a limited time. For Orochimaru and the others, it is not the right time to summon psychic beasts. Hold on for a while. Satoru came to Tsunade, who was still paralyzed, and took out a small bottle. Master Tsunade, this is the antidote prepared by Nanoyo before. Although there is no way to cure the poison of the salamander, it should be able to suppress it. Okay, suppression is enough. Tsunade, who was trying to mobilize the chakra, was overjoyed, swallowed the antidote in the bottle with difficulty, and his eyes lit up. Efficient. She moved her fingers, then quickly took out the medicine and began to prepare the antidote. Although the body is still weak, the numbness has disappeared. I can't fight, but there is no problem in preparing the antidote. Thank you, Wu, I have seen the poison of salamander fish just now. As soon as the words fell, Tsunade showed a confident smile, and swallowed the reconciled potion in his hand, and the violent chakra instantly shook away the rain around him. One more deployment, just a few breaths. If you hadn't reacted quickly just now, we would have been in danger, and I will help them right now. Wait a minute, Tsunade-sama. Satoru stopped Tsunade. Hanzo's teleportation technique and Sancho Fish are the biggest problems. Mr. Orochimaru and Jiraiya-sama are forced by his various attacks to be unable to attack effectively. I have a way to solve his teleportation technique, but it will take a little time. Later, Tsunade-sama will tell Ashimaru-sensei and Jiraiya-sama that when something goes wrong with Hanzo's teleportation technique, both of you will perform psychic techniques at the same time. Tsunade looked at Satoshi's confident look, and nodded. Okay, I'll pass them on. Tsunade disappeared instantly and joined the battlefield, while Hanzo was shocked that Tsunade regained his mobility so quickly. However, even so, Hanzo still firmly suppressed the three of them, and he still had the energy to pay attention to Wu's side. Why, isn't Ice Dun Kid planning to join the battle? Hanzo repelled the joint attack of Orochimaru and the three of them again, and the three of them were already covered with bruises. The three of us, are we not as worthy of your attention as my students? Orochimaru sneered. Tsunade had already informed him and Jiraiya, so in the battle just now, they were just waiting for the opportunity to lure Hanzo to perform the teleportation technique many times. At the same time, they must keep enough chakra now. We still have the means to use. Orochimaru began to seal with both hands, and Hanzo's eyes turned cold. Of course, he who owns the psychic beast Sanchoyo knew that what Orochimaru formed was the seal of psychic art. The technique of instant body. On the Yuyan battlefield, Konoha Fang had 3 special psychic beasts, and he was much more impressed than Orochimaru and the other 3. Casting the instant body technique again, Hanzo is confident that he can interrupt them. Crack. What? Hanzo's body turned into water waves, but immediately changed back. He didn't move at all. This is... Hanzo was shocked to find that one of the hind legs of his psychic beast Sanchoyo was frozen by a thick layer of ice. Ah! Sancho Uyabuku struggled violently, and Hanzo quickly comforted him. Ice escape, boy. But how is it possible? Even if it is restricted, the instant body technique can be unlocked. This is how he dealt with Orochimaru's restraint technique. You were casting the instant body technique. The moment you turned into a wave of water, I caught the opportunity and froze part of the water. Wu's figure instantly appeared in front of Dashimaru and the others, and he smacked his lips. Tisk, your chakra is connected to the psychic beast salamander, so you can transfer it with you. But in the same way, if you freeze a part of the water wave that you have transformed, not only can you interrupt the teleportation technique, but you can also. Chakra is frozen, it's not so easy to break free. Hanzo was shocked, he had never heard of such a strange thing. However, before he had time to say anything, he heard 3 uniform roars. Psychic art. Boom boom boom. 3 loud bangs, 3 huge psychic beasts appeared opposite the still struggling salamander. 3 great immortal lands Toad of Miamu Mountain, Toad Wenta. The 3 great immortal lands the pythons and 10,000 snakes in Longdi Cave. 3 great immortal lands slugs and living slugs, avatars, in Wetbone Forest. Oh, Jiraiya, there's an amazing guy on the other side. Toadwen is not so ruffian yet, but the way he is holding a pipe can already tell that he is a bad young man. Humph. Orochimaru, isn't that boy playing with ice your disciple? Although it was the first time seeing him, Wan Shi obviously recognized Wu at a glance. But it doesn't seem to like Wu's ice magic very much. Is it because it is afraid of the cold? Master Tsunade, there are many injured people. The living slugs seemed to like the rainy environment without sunlight, and became a little cheerful. Tisk, amphibians, reptiles, and mollusks all love water. Enlightenment looked at the 3 psychic beasts, and the ugly-looking Hanzo, and the crystal blue light on his hands lit up. Summon water elemental. Gilialilu. The huge water element, which was similar in size to the 4 psychic beasts, made Hanzo's face even darker. No one has a pet these days. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 127. Chapter 127 Konoha Sunin. Near the battlefield where the 4 of Satoru fought Hanzo, on a cliff, 3 small figures in raincoats were struggling to get up. They were about 7 or 8 years old, 2 boys and 1 girl. The aftermath of the battle between the 5 shook the ground, making it impossible for them to even stand normally. Terrifying ninjutsu, dazzling physical skills, Terrible poisonous gas, huge psychic beast. The three children stared dumbfounded at what may have been the highest level of fighting in the war. This is not at the same level as the ninja battles they have seen in the past. This is too terrifying. Is this the strength of a powerful ninja? The orange-haired boy Yahiko desperately climbed to the edge of the cliff, and was shocked to find it's Hanzo, and 4 Konoha ninjas. But, how is it possible that Hanzo, who is called a half-god, has been unable to take down the 4 Konoha ninjas for so long? Even a child like him can understand the situation on the battlefield. Although Hanzo maintained a slight advantage, it was far from suppressing the 4 Konoha ninjas at all. Although his psychic beast salamander is extremely poisonous and dreadful, but the toad, snake, slug and water mass on the opposite side. The water ball is not afraid of the poisonous salamander fish at all. No matter how many times the salamander fish breathes out the poisonous breath, it will all resist hard. The other 3 psychic beasts are only responsible for attacking. What makes Yahiko even more incredible is that among Konoha's 4 ninjas, there is actually a teenager who looks like a teenager. Although the young man stood at the back, every time he made a move, he would cause Hanzo great trouble. Too strong, boom long. Hanzo launched a super large-scale water escape ninjutsu, and beat Konoha's 3 psychic beasts to serious injuries and disappeared in one fell swoop, but he couldn't help the water ball. Probably because there is water on both sides. Yahiko thought this way, but he was involuntarily blown away by the aftermath of the next ninjutsu confrontation. Little one. Yahiko. What should I do? The red-haired boy, Nagato, and the purple-haired girl, Konan, hugged the dead body of a puppy and cried bitterly. Little one is not breathing. I'll talk about the little things later, get out of here first. The battle between Wuzang and Hanzo destroyed almost all of this large area. Nesuke, Mikoto, and Nanoyawa reminded them, escaped the poisonous breath of the salamander, regained a little strength, and began to transfer the wounded Konoha as much as possible. Although Hanzo noticed their little tricks, but now he can barely suppress the 4 of them at most, and has no time to take care of them. After a long time, the surrounding environment has been almost destroyed. Without the psychic beast Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade, the chakra is basically exhausted. The 3 of them were already panting violently, their bodies trembling slightly as they barely stood up. It was also the first time Wu met an opponent who could consume his mental power to such an extent. He already faintly felt a tingling in his head. Although the arcane meditation was slowly recovering his mental power, the large-scale magic output in front of him was too much consumption. If you continue, you can only play your whole card, but if you really play your whole card, it will be too much. Hanzo was slightly out of breath, but because he was wearing a breathing mask and trying to control himself, he was not noticed by the 3 of Orochimaru. As the leader of Yuyan village, ninja demigod, he must maintain his invincible image. But the self-esteem of the strong told him very clearly. If he continued to fight, he would not be able to take down the 4 Konoha ninjas on the opposite side. Just based on their stunning psychic beasts, it is conceivable that they definitely have the means to suppress the bottom of the box. Although I have it too, there is absolutely no need to fight to the death now. It's amazing that you can fight to this extent, you are still so young. Hanzo straightened out his breathing, and spoke forcefully. He stood on top of the salamander, looking down at the 4 Konoha ninjas below. I'm afraid this war will be the victory of your Hidden Leaf village. Your heroic performance has been recognized by me, so I will stop here. Asshole. Don't look like you've won us. We haven't lost yet. Jiraiya roared angrily. With Satoru's assistance, they were always at a disadvantage in the battle with Hanzo. If it continues, it is still unknown who will win and who will lose. Stop talking, Jiraiya. We still have wounded to take care of, and Nanayo and the others can't cope with such a big scene. Tsunade supported Jiraiya, who was out of breath, and stopped his struggle. Orochimaru glanced coldly at Hanzo, and licked his lips with his long tongue. He, the demigod is already so powerful, we can only fight against it together. How strong must the real god of the ninja world be? The current Orochimaru no longer has any fear of the ninja demigod in front of him. His goal has already surpassed Hanzo, pointing to a higher direction. You four are very strong. Hanzo twitched the corners of his mouth imperceptibly, and said in a deep voice. Not only can you survive, but you can also fight against me to this extent, but you are four people after all. Glancing at Satoru, who shrank to the end and seemed to have a low sense of existence, Hanzo narrowed his eyes. I really look forward to it. If you become stronger, to what extent? Especially that ice dunk kid, Hanzo, will wait for you to grow up enough to challenge me with your own strength. Cut, in order to turn around the war, I have to give up as a senior. Are you afraid that we will beat him up in groups after we become stronger? Are we going to use this trick? Wu curled his lips, he knew exactly what Hanzang was thinking. You four, sign up as witnesses of this battle. Jiraiya. Tsunade. Orochimaru. Forget it, I'm just an insignificant assistant, I don't want to be missed by Lord Demigod. Wu spread his hands, he didn't want to have the title of Konoha 4 ninja, it's too ugly. Oh. Insignificant. He. The corners of Hanzo's eyes jumped wildly, cursing secretly. Without your insignificant assistance, I can crush the three of them. Hanzo didn't want to stay on this battlefield any longer. Bing dun boy, you are still far away from the three of them, but I was most optimistic about you. Jiraiya, Tsunade, Orochimaru. I, Hanzo, will give you the title of Konoha Sunin from now on. This is a recognition of your strength and an expectation for your future Bing dun boy. The three of them will become famous all over the world after this battle. And you rejected my offer and missed this opportunity. Cut, I don't want to be famous all over the world. The three teachers are a generation higher than me, so I can be at ease as my little transparent, that's great. Hanzo, with an expression on his face that he couldn't utter, snorted coldly, rescued his subordinates, and retreated. The three of Dashimaru also began to help the wounded with helpless faces. They knew what Wu's ideal was. Konoha Sunin is really an uncomfortable title. Ji Lai also gritted his teeth when he mentioned this, although he said it was a gift, but there was irony in it. Tsunade, Orochimaru, I'm a bit regretful, I don't want this broken title. Well, let's take it as a spur. We are not strong enough, this is a fact. Tsunade was busy treating the wounded, and Orochimaru, who was also helping Jiraiya, said coldly. When you see him again, use your strength to make him submit, and that's it. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziyu. Chapter 128. Chapter 128 Trajectory of Fate. I always feel that I have overlooked something. After treating the wounded, Wu's team took a break, separated from the main team, and continued with the mission. Although Hanzo retreated, Yuyan village did not announce the end of the war for a day, and Konoha's high-level officials did not issue orders for a day, so the battlefield would still be in a state of war for a day. The newly promoted Konoha Sunin returned with a large force for repairs. If there is no accident, they will settle down the wounded and should continue to perform tasks in a small team. I remembered. Satoru added arcane wisdom to himself, only to recall that in the battle where the legendary Sunin was born, one of the keywords appeared. How many floors can a bag of rice carry? Yahiko, the founder of the Akatsuki organization, Nagato the reincarnation and a super-rich woman, Konan. Originally, Wu also thought about whether he could meet these three people who are still children in the mission of Yuyan village. But the situation on the battlefield is changing rapidly, so there is no such thing as a coincidence. But the appearance of Hanzo, as well as his formidable strength, made Satoru have no time to think about other things at all. It wasn't until now when he was free that he remembered what kind of turning point he had missed. "Woo, what's the matter?" I was surprised. Nakoki was pushed to Satoru's side by two girls. He scratched his head. Satoru's mood was a bit wrong, but it probably wasn't because he was defeated by Hanzo. Hanzo is really too strong. Before the few of us were delusional to stop him, they didn't even make a move. "Ah, it's okay, I just thought of something." Enlightenment turned his head and saw that Naoki, let alone the idiot, Mikoto and Nanoyo looked at him with worried eyes. "I was not hit by Hanzo." Satoru smiled and waved his hands. "Here Hanzo, he only has the peace of mind of surviving the Tidal Gate incident that almost became famous all over the world. The matter of the three little things, let's talk about it later. Anyway, according to the original track, they will go to the three of them." Wu has already read 60% of the Book of Medivh, and he can already begin to glimpse some in-depth things. If he saw the Eyes of Reincarnation, it might help his research. Wait, the Eyes of Reincarnation belong to Mr. Wuwang, that is to say, Nagato should be under his surveillance all the time. I don't believe that Mr. Wuwang is so big-hearted that he would let Nagato, who was still a child, be left alone. It's a time of war. If Nagato dies, wouldn't he be miserable? That is to say, Heize, or at least Baize should be watching Nagato's every move silently somewhere. So, the matter of the reincarnation Zilla also chose to keep it a secret, which is considered wrong. If Jiraiya also intends to reveal Nagato's reincarnation eyes, Mr. Wuwang will not let him go, or is Mr. Wuwang already too old to be a Jiraiya who has not yet reached his peak? Of these two possibilities, Wu would rather believe in the former. After Zilla also discovered the Eye of Reincarnation, he taught Nagato according to his aptitude. Mr. Wuwang should not be able to hide all this from Mr. Wuwang. He could also see that Zilla had no intention of reporting it. Otherwise, as Jiraiya's teacher, there is no reason for the third Hokage Hiruza Sarutobi not to know Samsara Eye. Even if it is for the sake of Konoha's ninja killed Nagato's parents, kill the immature Nagato, or try to eliminate Nagato's hatred, draw Konoha camp closer, for the sake of the village, Sarutobi Hiruza both should make decisions big enough to make a huge turnaround. Instead of letting it go from beginning to end, let Nagato, the mobile nuclear bomb, grow up. Therefore, even if the old Mr. Wuwang can't do the current Jiraiya, once Jiraiya has any signs of reporting to the Eyes of Reincarnation, he will definitely use other means to stop him. As for why Jiraiya didn't choose to report, he should also be worried that Hiruza Sarutobi would choose the plan he didn't want to see. Sarutobi Hiruzen is Hokage after all, and his benevolence is always towards the village. Let's go, we still have a mission. Even if we want to end things like war, we won't be able to do it in a short time. Wu temporarily gave up thinking about these things. If things still develop according to the original track, there will always be a chance to see them. Greeting the three Nezuki, Wu's team disappeared in the heavy rain. And on the battlefield where they and Hanzo both withdrew, the orange-haired boy Yahiko reappeared sneakily. "There is no corpse. You have not seen a single corpse after the beating was so brutal?" He still couldn't hold back his curiosity, and slipped back, wanting to see the outcome of that unprecedented battle. In other words, both sides have retreated? So many ninjas who fell here are gone. Not only is there no one, but there are no ninja tools or anything left behind, and they are all cleaned up? Yahiko searched carefully, feeling a little disappointed. The ninja tools left by ninjas in battle can also be sold for money. This is one of the reasons why he ventured back. Those four Konoha ninjas fought against Hanzo, and Hanzo couldn't do anything to them. Recalling what he saw at that time, Yahiko's eyes gradually brightened. Who is Hanzo? That is a ninja called half-god. Those four Konoha ninjas must be terrifyingly strong, so they can take their own people and leave calmly. If you want to change this country, it's useless to just say it, I need strength. That bastard Hanzo, he turned the land of rain into such a miserable battlefield. If I can find them, those 4 Konoha ninjas who Hanzo can't do anything about, please teach me ninjutsu, I will definitely have a chance to change the fate of this country. And Nagato and Konan, if the 3 of us work together, we can definitely do it. Especially that person. Thinking of the young Konoha ninja who was at most 13 or 14 years old, manipulating ice and huge water masses, Yahiko's eyes became firmer. If someone can do something like that at such a young age, we can do it too. Back at the hiding place, Yahiko told his 2 companions what he thought. Konoha's ninja. Nagato's hands trembled slightly, he still couldn't forget the night his parents were killed by the Konoha ninja. Although it was manslaughter, it was meaningless. But Yahiko, you are my savior, my best friend, and my goal, your ideal is my ideal. Nagato silently made up his mind and buried his hatred for Konoha ninja deeply in his heart. With a simple gas mask and the accumulated supplies, the 3 children Yahiko, Nagato, and Konan embarked on the road to find the Konoha ninja who can fight against Hanzo. And as they went deeper into the battlefield, more brutal war scenes than what they saw when they were wandering were gradually unfolding in front of them. Finally, as if God deliberately fulfilled it, Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade appeared in front of them. There are only 3 people, the youngest Konoha ninja is not here. Yahiko hesitated for a moment, but decided to seize this fateful opportunity. Who's there? Come out. Yahiko calmed down, signaled Nagato and Konan to wait, came out of his hiding place, walked towards the 3 Konoha ninjas who were resting, and stretched out his hand. Give us the food. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 129. Chapter 129 New Discovery of Natural Energy. This is the 3rd wave today, the situation is a bit weird. After clearing out a sneaky ninja squad, Satoru senses that things are starting to get complicated. I am afraid that the war will not end so easily, and the aftermath will probably continue for a long time. Because, the ninja team that was cleared out was the Yanyan ninja who should have withdrawn from the battlefield of the Land of Rain long ago. Yanyan has been monitoring the battle situation here. It seems that the war between the Land of Earth and the Land of Thunder is going well. In the house built by Rope Tree, Team Satoru enjoyed delicious food and began to discuss the current war situation. Satoru's judgment was agreed by Nakoki, Mikoto and Nanoyu, but at the same time he was a little worried. Previously Hanzo meant that he wanted to end the war as soon as possible, but now that Yanyan village has made a comeback, I'm afraid things will not go as he thought. Shenshu was a little worried. They had seen a lot of the horrors of the war along the way, and he finally knew why enlightenment suggested him to practice the 4-pillar art. It's definitely not what he said, so that he can get up at any time. But now, Shenshu is eager to master the more advanced version of Lianzu family art. In many cases, the displaced people have a house, a home, and the courage to survive in this war-torn country. However, how much he can do alone, the end of the war as soon as possible is fundamental. There are already enough people who died for the war. Mikan sat by the fire with her legs crossed, staring at the dancing flames in a daze. It's getting colder and colder. Brother Fuyu told me that this is a testimony of having experienced pain, but if these pains cannot happen, I would rather not have this pair of sharing eyes. When will this world be freed from war? No Neiyu gently handed the special Bing Liang pills to everyone, which were specially made to match Wu's magic food. They are not enough to eat, but they can supplement nutrition. Sister Mikan, I feel that the medical ninjutsu that has been relied on to help others is so inadequate. Nanoyu had experienced the battle with Hanzo, and witnessed the Konoha troops who were almost wiped out, and his whole person became much quieter. The already precocious little girl had a lot of thoughts about war that she rarely had at her age. The role of medical ninjutsu is to relieve people's physical pain, but war brings not only physical damage, but also spiritual despair. This is probably something that medical ninjutsu can't heal anyway. Bar. Haha, it's because of all kinds of unsatisfactory things that we try to change, isn't it? Wu stretched and stood up. Let's all go back and rest. The warning trap has been set up. I hope there will be no unsightly people bumping into it. The higher UPS will probably make arrangements for Yan Yin's situation soon. Our current goal is to survive and become stronger. Only with strength can we achieve our goals. If it is as strong as the original Hokage Hashima-sama, it is not impossible to change the ninja world. Haha, then if we are all strong to that extent, don't we have even greater hope? Shen Shu also stood up, but his speech was unanimously despised. You think so beautifully. At the beginning, Shenshu was like a stunned man, a big cabin house built. But after Satoru vaguely indicated that there were two girls behind, Shenshu finally understood, and worked hard to build a two-story building. The first floor is 2 rooms for boys, and the second floor is for girls. When enlightenment returned to the room, the rope tree next door became silent after a short while, so he must have fallen asleep. Enlightenment slowly opened his eyes, and the purple arcane light flashed in his eyes. Actively using arcane meditation while resting, Satoru can even keep his spirits up all the time, without needing sleep for a long time to a certain extent. This is very important on the battlefield. Now Wu is not only cultivating, but also serving as a guard. He will not pin his insurance on the warning trap. After the overloaded battle with Hanzo, the spiritual power was nearly exhausted, and the control of the arcane power weakened. When Satoru used the arcane meditation, he made a new discovery. In this state, he sensed a strange energy. This kind of energy is very similar to pure arcane power. Unlike the lively arcane power, it seems very calm. If the power of arcane is like a naughty child, lively and active, it must be controlled with spiritual power, but it is full of infinite possibilities. Then, this newly discovered power is like a serene old man, stable and quiet. Although he has a profound foundation, he always has a kind of lazy stubbornness. This is natural energy. Enlightenment quickly realized that this seemingly ubiquitous deep energy was an important part of the only ability that could rival the 6 paths chakra in the later stage Xianzhu. But because Wu's body was always filled with arcane power, he seemed to have ignored this power before. The Book of Medivh was flipping by Wu's side. With the help of this powerful arcane magic weapon that had already liberated most of its power, Wu was always analyzing natural energy. Xianzhu chakra is made by mixing natural energy, spiritual energy, and physical energy in a ratio of 1:1:1. As the energy that exists on the planet itself, the existence of natural energy is extremely extensive. Wu vaguely remembered that before the ancestor of chakra, that is, the sacred tree, appeared on this planet, natural energy could already be used by some native creatures to show various miracles. These creatures are called immortals. The 3 great immortal lands, Miamu Mountain, Longdi Cave, and Shabone Forest, are the most famous places where immortals exist. After the divine tree appeared, the energy it relied on to grow was the natural energy that devoured the planet. Whether it is animals or plants, the life of the planet is nourished by the natural energy that has existed since ancient times, so that it can flourish. The appearance of the sacred tree caused the natural energy of the planet to be lost rapidly, and the life energy in the living body, physical and spiritual energy could also promote the growth of the sacred tree. In Azeroth, natural energy is a manifestation of the arcane power of the star soul. Now, in the ninja world, after a long analysis of the Book of Medivh, Satoru can finally be sure. Natural energy is the energy formed by the natural dissipation of the arcane power of the star soul for thousands of years on the planet. It can nourish the energy of the planet's ecological circle. Life is born, evolved, and possesses life energy under this nourishment. Thousands of years of precipitation and accumulation have made natural energy far thicker than the original pure arcane power, or it can be said to be inert. Maybe this is the reason why it will become a stone statue if it absorbs too much. The sacred tree absorbs natural energy and produces chakra, that is to say, star soul arcane power, natural energy, life energy, chakra. This is the correct order of energy evolution in the ninja world. It is also because of this connection that chakra can be fused with natural energy to achieve immortal chakra, becoming the only energy that can rival Sweji snare and Liudeo Uniang Dun, and their sources are the same. I have always been using evocation magic, using the power of natural elements, if my analysis is correct. Arcane magic that directly attacks with more primitive pure arcane energy should have a stronger potential than fairy art. That is to say, you can use the guise of fairy art to cast arcane magic. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 130. Chapter 130 on the importance of endurance. After analyzing the natural energy, Wu's spirit was greatly lifted. Sure enough, as I guessed at the beginning, in essence, arcane power is indeed closely related to chakra. Natural energy is the bridge of this connection. If the sacred tree had been allowed to grow, there would be a high probability that the planet would not be destroyed, but the ecological circle would be destroyed. But as long as the star soul is still there, the planet remains intact, and after a long time, the natural energy will regenerate one day, and the ecological circle will still have time to reappear. However, if left unattended, the sacred tree may directly injure or even destroy the sleeping star soul, cutting off the potential of the planet, and even if the ecological circle is reshaped, it will lose the possibility of achieving extraordinary power. However, in theory, if you repeatedly collect chakra fruits and adopt the method of quantitative change causing qualitative change, it is also possible to complete the transition of life form, and the achievement is no less than the level of Titan. That is, the god who can create the world in the true sense. At Satsuki and his gang, it's not for this reason that they have been planting trees everywhere and sending chakra fruits to the family, right? Shaking his head, don't think about this troublesome question for now. This kind of thing is not what he needs to think about at this stage. He who controls the power of arcane, if he can really achieve the rank of guardian, he can even compete with the real Titan. After all, the source of power for a guardian who can walk in the astral world is not only the arcane power of the star soul of the planet. Really, the body of a mortal is comparable to a god. Okay, let's look in front of you. Arcane power is like this: if you use it too much, your spirit will be easily affected while your thinking is active. It is easy to think blindly. Enlightenment pulled back the jumping thinking in time, complained silently, and refocused his attention on the book of Medivh. This book is getting more and more difficult to read. At the end, the quality and quantity of knowledge are not at the same level as the previous ones. Wu stretched his waist. Although he had clarified the natural energy, as the controller of the more primitive and purer version of arcane power, he naturally would not use it at the expense of the basics. After all, it is superfluous for an arcane mage with an active mind to use the fairy chakra that must be calm to create. Although it takes time to create Zyonsha chakra and the quantity is limited, Satoru is very interested in the characteristic of the more you use it, the more energetic you become. This is simply an advanced version of arcane meditation. If he could figure out the principle and increase the efficiency of arcane meditation, Wu would gain super endurance. Although his current battery life is already very strong, but in the later stage, the huge amount of chakra at the level of Tailed Beast Power Bank and Samsara Eye Pupil Power is still a world apart. With the help of the Book of Medivh, Wu, whose reading progress has reached 60%, has a certain ability to return mana, which is one of the reasons why he has such a strong battery life. if there is a more advanced version of arcane meditation. Even if you learn another iconic spell in the future, using the power of arcane to stimulate your mind to quickly recover your mental power in a short period of time, then enlightenment can almost achieve the level of perpetual motion machine. Other people's chakra is gone when it is consumed, so the external blue bottle with a huge chakra reserve like the tailed beast power bank is the key to continuous fighting and violent output. But if it returns to blue quickly, the recovery is basically the same. Who needs such troublesome power bank? Even if a few high mana consuming spells are thrown down, the recovery will not be able to keep up for a while, and you will be stunned, and your mouth will be full of mana after a few words. How wonderful! Returning to blue is fast, much more reliable than that external blue bottle. If there is no Kyuubi, do you think Naruto can still be so perverted? A cheat is a cheat after all. If you use it too much, it will be easy to get banned. Tisk, thinking diverged again. Wu wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth, and the smirk on his face subsided. Well, this is the general direction in the future, perfect, while accumulating blue bars, strengthen the ability to return to blue. The length of the blue bar represents the upper limit of magical destructive power, and the ability to return to blue represents the ability to continue combat, and it is carried out simultaneously. Then the next research project. Wu took out his notebook and began to write and draw. He never forgot that he still had 2 scrolls in his pocket. S-level ninjutsu, Flying Raijin Jutsu, and the matching A-level ninjutsu, Flying Raijin Second Dan. Because of the tension in the war, Satoru had no chance to study before, and after the battle with Hanzo, and the natural energy took up his time, now he can finally start to study. The art of Flying Thunder God is indeed worthy of being an S-rank ninjutsu. If it is not a genius with special talents in time and space, it may be extremely difficult to learn. So, the second generation of Hokage Senshou Tobima is really a geek. Strictly speaking, the dirty soil reincarnation researched by Kinshou Byajian is also a kind of psychic technique. The difficulty has reached the S-level forbidden psychic art. The mutual multiplication detonation talisman that Wu has been thinking about is also a powerful Krypton gold technique achieved by the subtle application of psychic techniques. There was such a rant once, and Wu remembered it very clearly. Qianshao Fijian, brother, I have researched a new technique. Qianshao Zujian, is it water dungeon? Thousand hands, no. Senshao Zujian, then ban it? According to legend, this is the origin of the Book of Seals. Among the high-level ninjutsu created by Senshou Fiima, apart from the multiple shadow clone jutsu, which requires a huge amount of chakra and is life-threatening, the most famous ones are all time-space ninjutsu. This also shows how strong his talent in time and space is. And for a mage who controls the power of arcane magic, the magic related to time and space is mastered by learning. Knowledge is power, which is perfectly appropriate for a mage. Even if they are not good at it, even if they are not talented enough in time and space, as long as they can successfully interpret runes and spellcasting principles with sufficient knowledge reserves, almost all mages can master several representative time and space magics. Blink, displacement, teleportation, portal, time distortion, time shield. Therefore, even if it is the S-level Flying Thunder God art, Satoru has absolute confidence to analyze it and combine it with the teleportation art. Time passed quickly. During this time, according to Konoha's high-level instructions, Team Wu continued to clean up the Iwagakure ninjas in the Land of Rain. The war between the Land of Earth and the Land of Thunder indeed has the upper hand, but it is not yet over. Therefore, although the third generation of Tsuchikage Onoki is not reconciled, he can only send a small number of ninjas to fish in troubled waters, trying to stop the war between Igakure and Konoha quick end. Konoha obviously didn't allow this kind of thing to happen, and immediately sent more people to clean them up, so the task of Wu's team was still very heavy. As for Yuyan, Hanzo has shrunk his forces back to the core of the Land of Rain since he failed to gain enlightenment and sun in the last time, with an attitude of whatever you want, anyway, I don't want to fight anymore. If you still disperse your troops, Hanzo is worried that his army will be eaten away by Konoha, and he will be left alone. And just when the Wu team was tracking a team of Yan Yinchinen teams, they discovered an unexpected situation. Appearing in front of them were two children and the Iwagakure ninja who had fallen to the ground.